This is our 10th radio show production meeting today. Today's date is the 2nd of March 2021. My name is Lewis, and I am the producer slash guest presenter for the radio show.
Yeah, this is Amari, and I am the co-presenter of the show.
My name's Rebecca, and I'm the presenter of the show.
Yeah. So what we have done today is basically we had a look through our script to see if there was any changes that we needed to make just to make sure everything was up to date, and thankfully all of it was pretty good, but we did manage to make a few changes. Like for instance, we decided to get rid of bed D for included in like the COVID vaccination item in our radio show, since we want to make sure that we didn't really find anything to like match it really. So we decided to get rid of that because it really didn't fit in the tone of the topic at all, really.
And we had to change a few bits in the sports section as well. So we changed, obviously, the local teams update as well. We had to update it to the latest recent games and the latest updates on there. And we had to change it for the main sports bit for the Premier League. And we had to
Amari, would you mind repeating that again? You cut out for a second.
Oh, can you repeat it? Where was I? Was I in the leading bit? I'll start again. Oh,
yeah.
So for the sports section, we had to change. We had to change. We had to update the sports information about the games and the latest updates, and where Luton's at and how they're doing, and and also we had to change it for the Premier League as well. So we had to update like how the league's doing, what's going on with the injuries and stuff like that. So we just updated the sports section and changed a few ad-libs.
We are now going to do a rehearsal of the script to make sure it's in the time it has to be and make sure everything's correct.
Okay.
Hello listeners and welcome to the Collie Chat. My name is Rebecca Jones, broadcaster from Barnfield College, and I'll be joined by my fellow presenter Amari. How are you today, Amari?
I'm good, Rebecca. How are you? How you been?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Looking forward to the show today.
Yeah, I am. I'm just ready to get started. Yeah. Also, later on in the show, we will be joined by a special guest who will be discussing a serious topic about the coronavirus and the mental health during the lockdown period with us. We will be also talking about a new film that came out a couple months ago called Pixel Souls and Pixel Soul. So stay tuned. But for now, let's talk about what you can do for the New Year resolution.
If you want to be involved in one of our call-in segments in today's show, message 0749 406 6679 and make sure you check out our Instagram at the Collie Chat to see upcoming shows. Now for our first topic for today, we would like to talk about the COVID vaccine and how many people have recently received. More than 20 million received the vaccine, including Lord of the Rings star Ian McKellen. He said on his Instagram account, "I feel very lucky to have had the vaccine. I would have no hesitation into recommending it to anyone." The vaccine will only be given to elderly, care home workers or the NHS staff.
Yeah, people under the age of 16 or pregnant will not receive the vaccine yet, so you have to wait for a while for that one.
Later, we will be talking about Jesse Nelson's departure from the group, but first let's listen to this top hit.
Now for our first track of the day is Sweet Melody by Little Mix. I hope you enjoy it.
For those who are just joining us right now, welcome to the Collie Chat with me, Rebecca Jones.
Oh, and me, Amari Ridgewell. That was the song "Sweet Melody" by the girl pop group Little Mix. Wasn't it that a great song, Rebecca?
Yes, indeed, Amari, but it's a shame Jessie didn't sing in it. For those who don't know, Jessie Nelson quit Little Mix in December, causing a massive media reaction. Her audience were left shocked, including me. I thought that no matter what, the group would stay together. She announced that she was leaving Little Mix on Instagram due to mental health and being trolled on social media. It's caused ripples across the music and media industry regarding the mental health toll of life in the spotlight and has highlighted the pressures young people have due to social media and the present day expectations.
People not being confident in themselves as they do not look like how people expect them to look like.
Yeah,
Well,
and like social media, you do have advantages, like you can talk to your friends, and it's good for a time like this due to like lockdown and restrictions, so you can still keep in contact with your friends. But there is also bad sides.
mhm. Well, actions you can take. Well, the actions you can take if you are going through some similar examples. Is the oh, it's how is it?
The marathons.
The marathon's 116-123 email by Joe at the marathon. ORG. Oh, affects and it affects your family and friends as well as you. Okay. Next calling section. We now have a caller who's willing to talk about the perspective of social media. Would you would you please introduce yourself? Uh,
Do you use social media a lot?
What are the advantages and the disadvantages of social media?
Has social media affected your confidence?
Do you think young people feel pressured that they must look a certain way to be liked because of social media? Well, thank you so much, Annabelle. Well, that's my time up for now. But don't worry, I'll be back later on to talk about that latest sports and football updates. Until then, I'm going to um, hand over our sound mixer, Lewis McIntosh, because he really is looking forward to talking about our film review for today. So I'm going to leave and it to him. I'm gonna leave it to him to present for a while. For a while. See you guys later.
For those who have just tuned in, welcome to the Coolie Chat Radio Show. I am now joined by my next co-presenter, Lewis McIntosh.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Rebecca. I'm really glad to be on the presenting chair right now. Here's a quick reminder for all the upcoming stuff we have on today. For instance, later on today, we're going to have Drake's new song, Laugh Now, Cry Later, played on the show. I'm obviously going to be talking about doing a film review for the Pixar movie Soul. And then later on today, like when Amari comes back, we are going to be talking about the latest sports and football updates, and more importantly, we're going to be having two more call-in segments from two other people talking about other topics in our radio show. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Lewis. Now, the next topic we would like to talk about next on the show is to do with mental health issues during lockdown stages we have all been through over the last few weeks. Now, Lewis, do you think quite a lot of people's mental health have changed a lot during this coronavirus pandemic and us going into lockdown for a fair time?
Oh, I definitely think so, because having to go into lockdown a third time after the Christmas holiday, quite a few people would be a bit frustrated and upset by it. However, I think we were trying to stay more calm this time because thankfully there were quite a few different vaccines coming out and people were still being treated. So yeah, that was a good thing to happen.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you because mental health is a very serious issue for people even without lockdown, and they like to keep themselves busy, so going out and seeing friends, and because of lockdown they were just alone and although they were locked down with family members, but some people have issues at home, so being at home is also worse for them and give them more time to think. So it was bad for people who already had mental health before going into lockdown. Now that we're on this subject matter, I think we should have our next call-in segment. Don't you agree, Lewis?
Yeah, I think so. Calling now. Let's go into our next caller for the day. Okay, welcome to the radio show caller. Tell us your name and what you do.
We're glad to have you here too. Now, Lewis and I were just talking about how the coronavirus has affected a lot of people's mental health, especially with the most recent lockdown. So our first question is, how do you feel about this whole pandemic?
Lewis, was there any way you coped to stay positive during lockdown? What, like walking or reading a book?
Final question for you before we let you go. Do you think 2021 will be better than 2020? And is there anything else you would like to say to anyone who might be going through similar situations you did?
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Lewis. Now it's time for our next song for today's show. This song is by a well-known American artist who quite a few people know about. Here's Drake's most recent song, "Laugh Now, Cry Later."
Wow, that was a great track. Drake is really a fabulous artist, wouldn't you agree, Lewis?
Yeah, absolutely. Even though wasn't unfamiliar with his work as a rapper, that was a pretty good track, I have to say, Rebecca.
For those just tuning in now, welcome to the Quality Chat with me, Amari Woodrow, and my guest presenter, Lewis McIntosh. Later on in the show, we'll be talking about the Pixar movie Soul that's just recently been released. And we'll also, later on, when I go and Amari comes back, you'll be talking about football updates and the latest sports. And we will also have our last call-in segment.
Now, before we get started with our film review, I quickly want to say how things have turned out for cinemas recently, because unfortunately quite a few films were delayed due to the coronavirus, and unfortunately they still haven't been released yet. And of course there is still some debate about whether or not some films that are going to be coming out. But thankfully, due to recent news stories, they will be starting to think about reopening cinemas too once the COVID restrictions have started to die down a bit. So that means that a lot of the new films that have been on hold for ages, like Black Widow, Dune, No Time to Die, and even the new Fast and Furious movie, they can hopefully be able to come out soon, and hopefully everybody can get a chance to watch them. Don't you agree, Rebecca?
Absolutely, Lewis. Hopefully things will get back to normal in the next few months for cinemas and all of the upcoming films that haven't been released. Now let's get started on the film review.
Now, today's film review we are going to be for our show is that. Now, today's film we're going to be reviewing for our show today is the 2020 film Soul. Even though it came out on Disney Plus on Christmas Day last year, it is still highly talked about film that came out recently. Now, for those of you who haven't seen it yet and I don't want any spoilers about it, you can still go watch it without knowing too much about it. Now, I would like to say that. And now, the first thing I would like to say is I really enjoyed this movie. Jamie Foxx does a terrific performance by having a very likable personality, and you have very sympathetic for him about him achieving his goals of becoming a musician and him trying to get back to the human world. And Tina Fey does a great job portraying 22 and this very humorous and childish nature, even though she is clearly an adult actress. So she definitely got the most laughs out of me throughout the video, throughout the movie, which is kind of good because because both of them have different because both of them are practically polar opposites to each other, but that way it creates a good dynamic for the movie because it shows how they can come together, and that way not only can either of them learn lifelong lessons that the audience can know, but also has a very good and good thing for the movie, which I definitely enjoyed throughout it.
Yeah, I like the character Terry because although he was negative, he was very serious at times. He was funny, and I also liked the character Moonwind because he was very bubbly and he had a likable personality. And I think what makes this film so good is the whole conclusion part.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you because I feel like it leaves on a note that we ourselves don't know what to expect for our futures, which is something that children can think about and adults can relate to. So, Rebecca, you definitely think people should watch the film if they haven't seen it yet?
Absolutely, Lewis. If anyone listening hasn't seen Soul yet, go watch it on Disney Plus with the whole family. Now, that's my time up for presenting today. I had a great time. I hope to talk to you all again next week. Now for another topic.
Welcome to Footy News. For those who might be just joining us, I'm going to be talking about our local football team, Luton Town, with my co-presenter Amari Woodrow. Welcome back, Amari.
Hey guys, I'm glad to be back. How are you, Liz?
Very good, Amari. Amari, how are Luton doing in the championship? So, how are Luton doing so far in the championship?
Well, Luton Town are currently placed 14th in the table, which is an improvement from last season, and they just beat Sheffield United 3-2. So, which is a confidence boost to get into the top ten of the table.
That's a very good result. And Amari, do you think that Luton they are going to be getting into the top two place of the table?
Yeah, if they keep up the good form that they're on, they're they got a game against Nottingham Forest for an away game, who has not won the last 11 games. So I think Luton Town can get a result from that matchup.
Yeah, I agree with that statement, and hopefully they can still keep up with that form and get into the top 10 positions. Recently, the Luton Town fans had votes on who the best player is in the squad. Amari, can you confirm who that is?
Oh yeah, yes, I can. That's the keeper and Simon Slouch with 23% of the votes. It's great that he's back in the starting lineup because he played a big role in the team. Last game he only conceded one goal, but they came away with the win, and hopefully he can perform the same game against Nottingham Forest, and so they can get the 3 points.
Yes, hopefully they can win that. They can definitely win with his expertise. Amari, do you have any score predictions so far of how certain teams are going to do within the next few weeks?
Yeah, I got Luton Town winning 2-0 against Nottingham Forest because I feel like they have good. I feel like they're on a good form, so I feel like they can win that game.
Well, that's very good. Well, that's good to hear. Have you heard? You heard it. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here, folks. What Amari says, and what you got. But what do you guys think about this next upcoming match? Now let's move on. Now let's move on to the biggest leagues in the world, the Prem. Look, Amari, what a crazy season so far for the Premier League. Am I right?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. We got 8 teams competing for the top four positions. The 8 teams are we got Man City up first, Man City in the first position. Then we got Man United at second. We got Leicester City third. We got West Ham at fourth. And we got Chelsea, Liverpool. We got Chelsea. I mean Chelsea at fifth. We got Liverpool up at sixth. And we got Everton at seventh. And we got Tottenham at eighth. And sorry. Yeah, so it's really tight right now, but obviously that Man City are well ahead now, so yeah, it's out of the other 17s to get the top 4 positions.
Well, that definitely sounds crazy amount of out of position so far. Well, I don't know how to. I don't know who going to win. Win. Well, I don't know who's going to win, to be honest, but I hope they do great. And now we're going to update you on our next fixture for this week.
Hey, so the top. Oh wait, sorry. Okay, I'll just talk about fixtures then. The top teams fixtures. So we got so we got Man City versus Wolves on the weekend, and Burnley, Leicester and also we got Sheffield United and Aston Villa, and then we got Crystal Palace versus Man United, and then we got West Brom versus Everton, and then we got Chelsea versus Liverpool, which is going to be a very good game. So yeah, we got exciting games coming up on the weekend, and also, with the injuries. Oh wait. Oh yeah. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Well, that's us done for football and sports updates for today. So let's give a little Barfield shout out for someone very special. Okay, so the person we would like to shout out for today is the student. A student Lewis, because he has done so far with his media work. So Lewis Draper, who has done so well in his media work so far, he has always been up to date with all of his stuff, and most importantly, he makes sure he meets his deadlines right on time, and he even has time to double check all of his work, because that way he doesn't have to do too much in so little time.
That's great. So for our third calling segment, we are going to have our third calling segment, and we are going to be talking about the vaccine.
Welcome to the Color Cat. Could you tell us your name and what you do? Well, Luke, we were just talking about the vaccine. Well, would you just want to talk about that? What are your opinions about the vaccine?
And also, Lewis, why do we think this society most? I mean, why do you think this society, most people are against it?
Now, last question before you go, Luke. Would you take the vaccine now? Yes or no?
Well, thank you for being the show, Lewis. And I like your answers, but for being on our radio show, and have a good day.
Now, it's time for our final shot. It's time for our final song in today's show. So this is a well-known today. Now we have a well-known rock and roll band called AC/DC. If you've heard of them, you already know what kind of style they like to play and like to hear them over and over again. However, if you've not heard one of their most recent songs, have a listen to Shot in the Dark now and see what you think. Wow, that song really had me headbanging. Don't you agree, Amari?
Definitely, Lewis. I'm not much of a rock and roll fan myself, but I feel like this has got me into it.
Well, that's AC/DC for you. Once you heard one song, you love them all. You love all the songs.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all tuning into the best radio show in Barnfield College, and I hope you enjoy all the content, news we presented to you lovely people. Hope you have a great evening. This is a Mario co-presenter with my guest presenter Lewis and Rebecca, the main presenter.
Yep. Thanks for tuning into the Coolie Chat, everyone.
Thank you for listening to our radio show. Make sure you stay tuned to BCFM's next radio show, Spill the Tea with Sabaya and Toiba. Also, come back for the next Collie Chat show on Collie Chat show on Wednesday, 17th March, and we are out.
Okay, that was really good. And the time right now, and our total duration is around just about the 23 minutes. Yeah. So obviously, with that, those will obviously make a few slight more changes to it, but right now, but yeah, that's all for us in our production meeting and rehearsal so far, and thank you all for watching.